Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Michelle, and today we have Michelle on the show who's selling an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Michelle, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Well, hello Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for making the time to come on today. I'm really looking forward to learning more about your business, but before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. It's an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business in the home and kitchenware niche created in June 2018. The average revenue for the business is $46,110 per month, and it makes an average of $8,009 per month in net profit. Included in this sale is an Amazon Seller Central account with 4 SKUs and an additional SKU that is getting ready to launch, a domain with all site content and files, a Shopify account, employee contracts, supplier contracts and relationships, social media accounts for Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok, a trademark, an email list with 750 subscribers, wholesale accounts, and a Slack channel. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 58915 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So Michelle, now let's hear from you. I'm really excited for you to have the chance to showcase a little more about your business because you're doing some really cool things that we didn't have room to put in your listing. But before we dig into the business, why don't you fill us in on your background in building and running an online business?
Oh, sure. Well, before starting this business, I worked for an online marketplace. It was similar to an Airbnb, just I'd say a smaller Canadian version of an Airbnb. And I was the marketing director. So my role was to launch all the marketing and then grow and manage the marketing department. And so I'd say from that experience, I was familiar with basic principles of online marketing, like how to generate demand and the importance of looking at conversion rates and things like that. And also prior to that experience, I worked at Coca-Cola for 10 years in marketing and the last few years, just brand management. So my background helped me for sure to understand the importance of how to build a premium brand. And these days I teach digital marketing full time at the college level. And I absolutely love doing that. And it keeps me engaged and, just how to learn about the latest digital marketing principles. So that's in essence the background that I have in how to run an online business.
That's really not surprising because you got some very strong branding with this business. So what was the inspiration behind starting this one?
Thanks, first of all, for that feedback. Well, the inspiration really came, I suppose, out of some frustration. I had been working for over 20 years for other people, and I really wanted something different. So wanted to leave the corporate world, and I guess that's somewhat familiar to a lot of entrepreneurs. I thought it was time for me to create my own business where I can learn, grow, make my own mistakes, and where I can also celebrate some of my own wins. So it was really time for me to embark on entrepreneurship.
And so what drew you to this niche in particular?
The niche is something that I've always been interested in. I definitely didn't want to just create random widgets. I knew even before I started, I was going to build a brand. And so a lot of the inspiration comes from my day-to-day, observing my kids and checking in with my own values. And so this led me to create a brand that is centered around sustainability. So I think this proved to be the right strategy since these days consumers care more and more about where their products are made and even what kind of impact their purchasing decisions have on the environment. So it felt right. And, I started this a few years ago and it's still, just as relevant as it was when I started in 2018.
Definitely. So your business is primarily Amazon FBA, but you've got additional e-commerce sales You got different sales channels. Why don't you walk us through the other places that you sell?
Sure. So yeah, just like you mentioned, really the bulk of the revenue comes from Amazon FBA. But in the last year, and I think just through COVID, I wanted to see if I could move some of that off of Amazon. And I started wholesaling the brand. So there are a couple of marketplaces online where you can basically, a brand owner can connect with brick and mortar retailers. So all the sort of small specialty stores started to pick up this brand. And it's still a very small chunk of the overall revenue, but there is so much upside in wholesaling the brand.
Definitely. And you've done this by design to focus on Amazon FBA, if I'm correct, right?
Absolutely. When I started in 2018, it was so great because you could just send all your inventory straight from your supplier straight into the Amazon warehouses. That's music to my ears because I just want to focus on marketing, which I think I'm okay at. And I don't want to deal with warehousing and storage and all that logistical stuff is just not something that I've been interested in. So I definitely was attracted to Amazon FBA as a business model.
And where are you currently selling? You are on the Canadian and the US marketplaces.
Yeah, that's right. I live in Canada. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say if you could kind of talk us through a bit. I don't know with the wholesalers, if you're reaching an international market as well, or if those are centered on Canada and the US as well.
Yeah, so good question. I live in Canada, and so I launched on Amazon.ca. Then I recently, in the last year, started with Amazon US. And in terms of the wholesale accounts, I would say that most of them are in North America, probably predominantly US. And that's more a function of where these marketplaces started and where they're growing. But I do have a couple of European customers, and I think again, as these marketplaces start to really grow, these marketplaces are really well funded and they're exploding in their growth. And so I think more and more international brick and mortar stores are going to start doing all their buying through these platforms. So over time, there will be more European customers as well.
Yeah, so that's a really good opportunity for somebody who's coming into the business to kind of look toward the future and see where the business is growing. So, why have you decided to sell the business now?
Well, it's been my baby, and I have teenagers in the house, and this Amazon business was my new baby. So it's been fun. I really have enjoyed it. And it was a personal challenge for myself to stop working for other people in a marketing capacity. I took on teaching at the same time, which I do really enjoy. And I launched this business. And I know where my skills sort of end. I think I've done a reasonably good job of building, the brand architecture, building the brand voice and infusing it with some core values. But I don't have the time to scale it to the level that I think it deserves. And I'm just noticing that I tap out after 5-6 hours a week because I don't want to sacrifice the little bit of time I have left with my teenagers who are going to leave the nest soon. So it's really time to pass that torch on to someone else who can take it from here. It's got a good foundation and really knock it out of the park in terms of scaling it.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. And I completely understand. What would you say was your biggest win since starting this business?
I think that product selection has gone well for me. I still sell the first product that I launched in 2018, and it's had really great growth. There are over 800 reviews on that product, and it's got a 4.8 rating. And, the other products that have followed similar stories. So I think those have been my wins. And I think, it's a bit of a rinse and repeat at this point. I've done good packaging and it's all templated. So every new product just goes through the sort of same system. Here's the template for the packaging. Here are some of the values that you need to infuse with the product insert and things like that. So I believe that building the product line has been done reasonably well, and that I consider a win.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge that you've faced?
I am sort of frustrated with myself because I don't have the time to grow it. So I'm holding myself back. I'm holding the business back. I think that the biggest growth opportunity with this business is just launching new products, expanding the line. I've never even launched a variation. And, I sometimes pull up the tools to see the opportunities. And oh my goodness, if I could only launch one or two variations on a couple of these SKUs, then I really believe that the growth is double, triple just in a few months. And I can't get there. I couldn't possibly have that kind of bandwidth to do any of that.
I completely understand. And, I just kind of want to touch upon some of the additional growth opportunities that you see for this business, because you have one of the most comprehensive growth strategies to hand over to a buyer that I have ever seen from a seller. You have so many just different, really cool points. So if you wanted to kind of run through some of those with us, just where you see as the biggest opportunities for growth, aside from the product launch, the additional products and the variations.
Yeah, well, thank you. Okay, so the lowest hanging fruit is just launch some variations. Then, of course, new products that are really complementary. So you did say that, but those need to be done. And I think that's where the biggest growth is. And then another enormous opportunity is just to launch internationally. So even in North America, I haven't even turned on Mexico. Don't ask me why. I don't have the time to go into Seller Central and figure that out, even though I've heard on some podcasts how easy that is to do. So turn on Mexico, turn on European selling, and also Japan. Amazon keeps telling me that my 2 SKUs in the US, there's high, very high, and extremely high demand. So it keeps topping out at launch in Japan. So just going international is a huge opportunity. And also on those wholesale marketplaces, just do a little bit of marketing. They have very simple little PPC campaigns you can run. You can pay for different types of exposure with them. And I haven't turned anything on. I'm afraid to because I don't think I can handle any more volume on that end. And also there is a Shopify store, a Shopify site. So it's built, ready to go. And I purposely increase the prices on the Shopify site because I just don't want to deal with another channel. I don't want to go direct to consumer right now. So those are just a few things. I probably have more, I'm sure I've made a list over time, oh my gosh, if I could only do this. So really to sum up, it's launch more products, add some variations, turn on Mexico, go to Europe and Japan, and then do a little bit of marketing with some of those wholesale platforms.
Excellent. So I was wondering, are you using PPC or listing description SEO to drive traffic to your products?
Yes, I definitely do try to create good listings, and I do that at the initial stage. When I'm launching, I do keyword research, and I try to infuse the listing with all the right keywords, and I do turn on PPC. But I'm not great at the maintenance. I do minimal maintenance, and I think that it's necessary, even seasonally, every 3-4 months, you go in and you should really tune up some of those keywords. I'll be honest, I don't really do enough of that.
And you're handling your PPC campaigns entirely on your own right now?
I am, and things are going reasonably well, but I'm not an expert. I think that, maybe someone else could do it better than me. One mistake I really made is when I launched in the US, I was so intimidated by the US. I don't know why. And I thought I should hire a PPC agency to help me grow, to launch the SKUs properly. And that was a really big mistake. And I really learned from that. And the agency they just hired a virtual assistant from overseas who really did not handle the account well. They overspent without my authority. They spent a lot of money on the actual ad spend, and the results weren't even there. So it was sort of like a double bad mistake. Spend too much and not have the results. So
That's
I definitely
disappointing.
learned from it. It was very disappointing. And it's on me. I took too long to get rid of them. So 1 month, 2 months, that's plenty to see if they're not working the way you think that they should be working. And unfortunately, I waited 6 months. I kept thinking it's going to get better, and it didn't. So that's on me.
Well, what else are you doing in terms of marketing for your business?
Well, there's a little bit of social media. Again, that could double an effort. But there's an Instagram account, TikTok, a little bit of Facebook and Pinterest. And that's about it. I have a couple college students that I mentor, and they do the social media completely. So I don't even touch it. And the buyer could actually take that over if they were interested. There's basically a co-op department at the colleges where I work, and I have the job postings up, and really these students are eager to get some real business experience, to practice on a real business, to do some social media. And it doesn't really take much. Of course, I enjoy coaching these students. So I get on a call with them once a week for 30 minutes and I give them that feedback. Of course, I would be happy to train the buyer to do the same if interested. And that's really all the marketing that I do.
That's great, though. So what does a typical week look like for you when you're running this business, aside from the 30-minute mentoring session?
Yeah, so aside from that, I have a Slack channel where I can communicate with the students, and occasionally they'll send me something for feedback or I'll take a look at something. So that's pretty minimal. And then in terms of running the business, I log into Amazon Seller Central. I just make sure that my listings are live. You never know with Amazon. That's about it. I log into the advertising section. I take a look. I don't really do too much. I just want to make sure things are running. And I send inventory. So I will either order more inventory from my suppliers, or I have 3PLs, so warehouses, one in Canada, one in the US. And I'll sometimes email them to drip in more inventory into Amazon. That's it. I don't have capacity for any more than that. Again, I work full time and I have other commitments. So it is what it is.
I totally understand. I was actually going to ask you a bit about your supply chain, and you answered part of that. Do you think you could walk us through a little bit more? Do you ship by air, by sea? How long does it usually take to get your inventory to your 3PLs?
Great question. So I would say that the supply chain has really been broken since COVID started. I got into this business thinking I'll never have to deal with any of those issues because I'm just going to ship straight to Amazon warehouses. Well, that changed really quickly and I had to learn that. So not something I enjoy, but I learned that I need double the lead time. So these days I like to be prepared and I order more inventory. Most of the inventory comes from China. I have recently started with this latest product. I sourced that from Vietnam, and the products go either to a Canadian warehouse in Vancouver or the American warehouse in California. So obviously I chose warehouses along the ports, and they store them. They don't do anything with them. They don't repackage anything. And then they just forward the full carton straight to Amazon FBA. The good news is that Amazon just increased my storage capacity by thousands. So there is so much space in Amazon warehouses right now for me to just send directly to Amazon, just like the good old days. So I could turn off those two warehouses completely. I just haven't because I'm not sure if the next buyer, the next owner wants to have warehouses or not. But it's a really great opportunity. If you get rid of the warehouses, wow, the margin, the profitability on the business will really increase just by doing that. So that's really the logistics of the business.
That's excellent. And what do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer taking over this business?
Well, I think it's just Amazon, understanding how Amazon works. If the buyer is a brand new online seller, then there's a little bit of a learning curve. You need to understand just the ebbs and flows of an Amazon business. If you already understand a little bit of that, then there are no challenges. There's nothing unique about what I have built that a new seller couldn't just take over to at least maintain, if not double or triple the revenue.
As we're talking about potential buyers, would you commit to a non-compete for a future owner?
Yes, absolutely.
And how much support are you offering buyers?
I want to offer whatever is deemed reasonable. I want to make sure that there's a nice solid handoff, that the buyer is in good hands to realize the potential. So I think what's reasonable is for sure in the first 30 days to offer multiple calls and email support. And even after that, I think, a certain amount of check-ins here and there, if the buyer wants, is totally reasonable with me.
And are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Yes, I am open to all kinds of offers. Of course, it just depends on what the offer looks like and the type of time commitment it would involve. That's really where my constraints are. I can't be involved even at the level that I am today. So some type of earnout is fine as long as it doesn't come with a big time commitment.
That's completely understandable. So before we wrap up, I really wanted to touch upon your brand cohesion because you've really made an effort to make sustainability a part of your brand story. So why don't you tell us about some of the eco-friendly practices and initiatives that your business has?
Okay, great. I love talking about that. Well, like I said, I was inspired by my kids and some of the actions that they were taking. And so I decided that if I'm going to build something, I want them to be proud of it. And I infused the brand really from the first day with a couple of charity components. So the brand has 2 charities that it supports. And I'm really proud of some of the numbers that I've achieved in the last couple of years on that front. And then also the packaging. There's no plastic anywhere, not in the product and not in the actual packaging. Everything is recyclable and the packaging has been optimized, meaning every few months in the beginning when I launch a product, I try to tweak the packaging. Can I make it smaller, lighter, better in any way that I can? So I try to do that. And ultimately, I avoid air shipping, not just because it's expensive, but I think it's just better for the environment to do everything by sea. And for that reason, I've extended my lead times for the product to arrive from overseas. So there are little things like that that I believe are important to me, to my core values, and I try to incorporate them in the entire business.
That's excellent. So if you're putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, I think that not everybody wants to start a business from scratch, and not everybody can do the branding and, some of those things that I think are part of the equity of this brand. I think if you're someone that wants to take a business that has a solid foundation and really scale it, then this is the kind of business that would be attractive to you. So yeah, I started something from scratch. I think I'm pretty good at that, and I'm probably not the right person to scale it. And so the buyer should be someone who is interested in taking something that already exists and then grow it from there.
Is there anything else that you like to share about the business that we might not have covered?
Oh, I don't know. You asked really good questions. I love what I've built. I enjoy online marketing. I love this e-commerce ecosystem of, Amazon. So I really want to make sure the brand succeeds and is taken over by a company that understands and wants to grow whatever I've already built.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on and giving us a little more insight into you and your business. It's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, and it's been a real pleasure chatting with you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 58915. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.